The system tasked me with teaching the disabled school heartthrob, Asher Bell, to be bad. I agreed. At the internet café, I snatched his A-level study guides. Teach me how to play Minesweeper, I demanded. Asher scoffed, hilarious. During a fight, I grabbed his prosthetic limb as a weapon, swinging it at the ruffian. Not bad, actually. Quite useful, I remarked. Asher just sneered, huh. On a rainy day, Asher's amputated limb was twitching. I ignored it, using it as a makeshift auto-clicker to snag concert tickets online. After securing the tickets, I rewarded his stump with a kiss. Kiss it better, I teased. Later, Asher pinned me against the headboard. He coaxed, baby, bear with it. I'll kiss it better. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. After dying in a car accident, I was reincarnated as the vicious female supporting character in a campus redemption novel. Trisha Carter. A troubled girl. Also, Asher Bell's convenient girlfriend. The system prompted me. Host, your task is to teach the disabled school heartthrob Asher Bell to be bad. And drag him into the mud with you. Wait a minute. I stopped it. Be bad? Who? Me? The one who wins the city's top student award every year. And gives speeches as an outstanding representative under the flag every Monday? I sneered and said righteously, you've got the wrong person, haven't you? System, after completion, the reward is £50 million. I bowed deeply to it. I'm all about drinking and smoking in private, you know. That's right, it's you. Asher was the golden boy of London's elite. Before the accident, he was sunshine personified, confident, roguishly handsome. And the star of the basketball team. But ever since he lost his left leg saving a little girl from an oncoming car, he'd grown increasingly morose. The reason I became his girlfriend stems from an incident 3 days ago. He was returning to school after a year-long hiatus. I was munching on a 1-pound starch sausage, watching the drama unfold at the school gates as he argued with his mom. Asher, darling, you should at least try to act normal, his mother pleaded. Asher scoffed, and what exactly is normal? Going to classes, socializing, dating. Dating? Asher laughed bitterly. Who'd want to date me now? Asher, don't say that. Asher turned to me then, his smile cruel and playful. The very picture of a boy lashing out at the world. Hey, you, the sausage girl. Fancy being my girlfriend? I'd just arrived in this world. Confused and disoriented, I thought I was dreaming. But Asher was so devastatingly handsome. In a moment of madness, I stuffed the other half of the starch sausage into Asher's mouth and planted a kiss on his cheek. Yes, I'd love to. I'd love to. Afraid he might change his mind. I grabbed his wheelchair and dashed through the school gates, completely ignoring Asher's thunderous expression and his mother's bewilderment. I cheerfully called back, "Bye, Mrs. Mrs. Bell," still in shock, managed a weak smile. Goodbye. Once inside, Asher scowled and snapped, "Are you mental? Didn't you like the starch sausage?" He chewed thoughtfully. "It's all right. My treat." It was then that I realized I was merely a pawn in this narrative. The system's voice buzzed with excitement as it issued its command. Once you've taught Asher to be bad, we'll introduce the female lead to redeem him. She'll reform him with love. Turn Asher into an upstanding young man, proud to be British. Makes sense, I nodded. But why not have the female lead appear now, in 6th form? She could help Asher ace his A-levels and set him on the path to success. Isn't that the whole point of a redemption arc? The system whispered, 6th form stories must remain PG. Fair enough. The first day of going bad. I smashed Asher's bedroom window with a rock. Then I climbed up to the 2nd floor and snuck into his room. Asher, who was terrible with mornings, growled, "What do you want?" His voice was laced with anger. "Boyfriend, I'm here to accompany you to school," I said with a beaming smile. Asher's face darkened as he pulled up his trouser leg, unabashedly showing me his stump. He leaned back on his hands, broad shoulders hunched, eyes challenging as he looked at me. As if to say, disgusting, isn't it? Want to vomit? Get the hell out now. A sense of self-loathing emanated from him. I moved closer, my fingers touching the stump, slowly moving upwards. Asher turned bright red in an instant, the tips of his ears looking like they might drip blood. He jerked back suddenly. Why you? I smirked. Boys in the morning are all. I thought you might need someone to help you. The system screamed frantically, yes, yes, yes. This is exactly the kind of impropriety we need. Make the cold-hearted male lead thoroughly disgusted with you, yet unable to stay away. Before I could finish speaking, Asher told me to shut up. You. Me? Finally, he admitted defeat. His large hand covered my eyes, telling me to face the wall and reflect on my actions. You pervert. Don't look at me. I cheerfully faced the wall. All right. When I turned back around, Asher had already put on his prosthetic leg. As he walked, apart from a slight unfamiliarity, there was no difference from a person without a disability. So, this is why you woke me up so early? Asher closed his eyes, clearly unable to believe the reality. In the noisy internet cafe, smoke swirled around, filled with red-eyed youths. Students like us from Central High School, arriving at 6 in the morning in our uniforms, were a rare sight indeed. Can't be helped. I used to be a top student. Waking up at 5:30 a.m. and arriving at the classroom by 6 a.m. was standard practice. I played Minesweeper with a blank expression. I need you to pay for my internet time. I'm broke. I set up a computer for him. After fiddling around for a while, I pursed my lips and suggested, why don't you play some online games instead? When it comes to being bad, I'm a novice too. Asher scoffed, no thanks. He even pulled out the familiar red cover. A-level study guides. I snatched it away. Give me that. No studying allowed. Teach me how to play Minesweeper. I ordered him. System, Trisha, I knew I hadn't misjudged you. Asher resigned himself, chuckling, hilarious. 30 seconds later. I watched Asher lose in less than 10 moves and fell into deep thought. Maybe we should study after all. That seems easier. Asher silently took out his pen. Fine. As Asher and I battled in the sea of learning, a discordant voice came from beside us. Bloody hell, I hate show-offs the most. Asher and I exchanged a glance but ignored it. That guy then grabbed my wrist directly. Well, good students come to internet cafes too? His nicotine-stained fingers touched my face. How about you have some fun with me, eh? You've had a few too many, mate. You don't know your limits. Asher stood up, pulled me behind him, shielding me. His tone was grim. Problem? The guy reached out to grab. I wanted to step forward to stop him, but Asher wouldn't let me. With a forceful shove, the guy pushed Asher onto the table, knocking over the computer and causing a commotion. I cried out, Asher. A guy who had been sleeping face down clicked his tongue. He stepped forward and knocked the yob to the ground with one kick. Get lost! Only then did I realize the guy was Zach Lloyd, the school bully from Central High. Zach reached out to help Asher up. You all right, mate? Zach Lloyd? I spoke up. Trisha Carter? Zach exclaimed. We were regulars at the weekly detention, so we knew each other well. Who's this? He nodded towards Asher. My boyfriend, I said. Asher pressed his lips together, coldly saying, I'm not. But his voice seemed to contain a hint of disappointment. I firmly stated, you are. I'm not. You are. After a while, cracks appeared in his cold expression. His ears also turned red. I am. I didn't hear clearly. I asked him, what? Nothing. Zach and I stood in front of the cafe. Neither of us spoke. We were both broke. Asher said, it's on me. We immediately ordered a lot of breakfast items. How did you two end up together? He confessed to me first, I replied. Asher frowned, his lips parting slightly, but he remained silent. As we were talking, a group of about a dozen thugs on motorbikes arrived. The one Zach had beaten up earlier cowered at the front. Boss, it's these people. They beat me up, he whimpered. So, you're the ones who hurt my mate? The leader sneered. Zach and I kept our heads down, focusing on our porridge. Only Asher maintained eye contact with them, his expression cold. At this point, there was only one option. Run. With my signal of run, the contrast between silence and chaos was stark. After we put several streets between us and the thugs, I stopped, panting heavily. Zach and I high-fived instinctively. Phew, there aren't many in this country who can outrun us three. I'm going to sign up for the Olympics, Zach declared. What about Asher? I asked. He can only sign up for the Paralympics. Oh, right. Where was Asher? Zach and I exchanged a glance. Bloody hell, we'd forgotten about him. I immediately sprinted back towards where we'd come from. Zach shouted after me, "You can't handle this alone, we need more people." I ran and cried, "I can't leave him, that's not what a girlfriend does. Go find more people quickly." When I reached our original spot, I saw Asher calmly wiping his mouth with a napkin, rising gracefully. His left leg wasn't as nimble, but his presence was undiminished. He let out a chuckle. The thug in front of him was still mouthing off. "Pay up for protection, and I might spare your miserable life today." Asher sneered, clenching his fist. He landed a punch on the thug. This time, it was the thug who lost his balance. I stood there, shocked. Bloody hell, is Asher that brave? I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself to protect Asher. But I couldn't do it, I'm too scared of pain. So I could only close my eyes and rush between Asher and the thug. "If you've got a problem, come at me. Don't touch my boyfriend." Asher looked at me in surprise. "Why did you come back?" Of course, it was for the £50 million reward. He put his arm around my waist and pulled me behind him. "Zach's already gone to get help. We just need to hold on." The lead thug was already enraged. "You're asking for death." I looked around for something to use as a weapon, but I couldn't even find a brick. Asher clicked his tongue. "You go first." "It's not your turn to protect me," he said irritably. "I've only got a broken leg, I'm not dead." "That's right." I crouched down to roll up his trouser leg. "Your prosthetic is made of steel, right?" I looked up at him. Asher's ears inexplicably turned red. "Yes, now get up." I pressed on his shoulders, making him sit down. I yanked off his prosthetic leg, it was a particularly cool cyberpunk style. I hadn't expected Asher's prosthetic to be so exquisitely made. The thugs were momentarily stunned. The thug Asher had hit earlier was especially clueless. "Haha, so you're just a cripple. I thought you were so tough." I swung the prosthetic leg in my hand and smacked that thug. "Did you brush your teeth this morning? Your mouth stinks." That thug was knocked down by my blow, his right cheek swollen. I turned to Asher in surprise. "You know, this prosthetic makes quite a handy weapon." Asher smirked. "Heh." Just as the thugs were about to make a move, a stern shout came from behind me. "Stop right there." The tone was so familiar. I turned around. I saw Mr. Gray, the head of discipline, pulling Zach's ear. Behind him was a crowd of Central High students in blue and white uniforms, holding evaluation forms. Why did Mr. Gray bring the entire student council? I made faces at Zach. "What's going on?" Zach looked innocent. "Right after you ran off, I turned around and saw Gray coming with the student council. He said the cafe shop owner reported us for dating." Mr. Gray smacked Zach on the head. "Show some respect, Zach. There are 300 school rules, and you've broken 299 of them. I thought early dating was the one line you wouldn't cross. But here you are, corrupting a female classmate." Mr. Gray glanced at me, then turned back to Zach. "I've always said your teenage romance won't stand the test of time. Look, as soon as she saw me, she abandoned you." Zach said lazily, "Mr. Gray, I'm not dating anyone." Asher frowned and gripped my arm, pulling me closer. Mr. Gray noticed our movement. He changed the subject, turning to the thugs. "You troublemakers, why are you here harassing our good students? Mind your own business." We're not your students. Mr. Gray was still lecturing earnestly. Where will this path lead you? The sea of suffering is boundless. Turn back to the shore. The thug leader was tired of the endless talking. He twisted his pinky finger in his ear. Impatiently, he said, "Get them, boys. I can't stand these goody two-shoes." The thugs were armed with wooden sticks and bricks. Zach was the first to jump in. The student council members weren't cowards either. In the blink of an eye, the tables had turned. Mr. Gray stood in the middle trying to break up the fight, but got stepped on several times. I saw with my own eyes that it was a girl student venting her frustration. I charged to the front, swinging the prosthetic leg at the thug. "Don't hurt my darling Asher." Mr. Gray heard what I said. In the chaos, he turned back to look at Asher, with a very disbelieving expression. Asher said, "That's right, it's me. Police station. They're just harmless students." "You're saying they beat you up like this?" The officer sternly questioned the thug leader. At that moment, the thug members were all crouching in the corner. I cried, tears streaming down my face. "Officer, they started it first." My classmates, with only minor bruises, had red eyes. "Yes, officer, we're usually very peaceful. If they hadn't attacked us first, we wouldn't have fought back. We only did it to protect ourselves. We've never been treated like this in our lives. And these thugs have been extorting protection money from us." At this point, Mr. Gray also stepped forward. His eye was bruised, and his lip was bleeding. I gave him a sympathetic look, remembering how I'd seen a classmate hit him unfairly during the fight. He must be quite disliked. "That's right, officer. This is partly my fault. I was just enforcing school rules off campus when we ran into these thugs." "Damn. We're the ones who got beaten up worse," one of the thug members shouted. The officer slammed his hand on the desk twice. "Did I ask you to speak?" He then spoke gravely, "They're just children. How could you lay hands on them?" The thug members were on the verge of tears, finally biting their lips and saying bitterly, "People's prejudices are like mountains." My lip was also bruised. With tears in my eyes, Asher looked at me, his finger gently touching my lip. "Does it still hurt?" I buried my face in his chest, whimpering, "It hurts so much." Mr. Gray coughed lightly. Zach laughed, "He's talking about you too." He then took my hand, "Come here instead." Asher irritably swatted Zach's hand away. "Stop messing around," he said. The officer was still questioning, "Tell me, what did they hit you with?" One thug looked at me angrily, "That girl, she hit me with her boyfriend's leg." I hugged Asher's prosthetic leg, and Asher looked at me, blushing. Mr. Gray got angry, "Why did she only hit you and not the others? You should reflect on your actions." I was surprised to see Mr. Gray being so protective of us at this crucial moment. We spent the whole morning at the police station. The system praised me, "Not bad, host. You've now skipped school, gotten into a fight, and ended up in the NIC. You're doing a great job of teaching Asher bad habits." The NIC? This system talked like it was from the streets. "Of course. Your progress is now at 40%. When we were released." The thug members were still muttering. "Some good students they are, dating so young, huh?" Mr. Gray stepped forward. "Even if our Central High students date young, they can still get into Oxford or Cambridge. What about you lot?" The thug members turned red with embarrassment. I thought another fight was about to break out. But then Mr. Gray pulled out a handful of business cards. "Stop fighting. Learning a trade is better than extorting protection money. There's no shame in earning an honest living." In that moment, a glimmer of humanity shone upon the thug members. "Let's go!" Mr. Gray called out to us. "The progress in becoming bad is falling behind," the system reminded me. I was utterly exasperated. What can I do? I've already told Asher to stop studying, but he still ranks first. He's always been a genius at studying, but you should at least make him drop one place. The system advised earnestly. Dropping one place counts as declining grades? Yes. All right then. Weekend. I brought Zach and Asher to the library together. Zach laughed, "Girl, I've got to work, you know." I confidently said, "How much do you make per hour?" £50. No problem. Asher, pay up. Asher resignedly transferred the money, £1,200, buying your whole day. Zach looked at the transfer, covering his mouth in surprise. He turned to Asher with a flirtatious tone, "Bro, I'm not for sale." I pushed him away and quickly linked arms with Asher. "That's a different price. Even if you were for sale, you'd have to queue." "You think I'm dead?" Zach laughed. "No, but why did you two bring me here to be a third wheel?" I really didn't understand. How could someone as enthusiastic, sunny, and outgoing as Zach end up struggling to make ends meet because of family burdens? To be blunt, he could be a top male model if he wanted. But he didn't. He had his own principles. I didn't want him to be limited by his family's circumstances. At the very least, he should go to university, right? I tossed Asher's A-level study guides to Zach. I instructed Asher, "You can only read romance novels." "Why?" I started working on some maths Olympiad problems. "Because you need to learn how to date me. My goal is to corrupt you, after all." "Does that need to be learned?" I raised an eyebrow and leaned closer to him. "Do you know how to hug?" I looked at his attractive thin lips. "Do you know how to kiss?" Asher's throat bobbed. Zach's mouth twitched. "What's so hard about that?" "Bro, I'll give you some websites later." I punched Zach. "Don't corrupt him." Asher laughed. "All right." That night, I created a group chat. The group name was Zach is not a third wheel. I posted a few Korean drama kissing clips in the group. Zach, not suitable for children. Asher, okay. Me, such a good boy, darling. Asher, boring. After the final exam results were released, the system was surprised. "How is this possible? Just tell me if there's been a drop." On Central High School's final ranking list, my name was right at the top. Below Trisha Carter's name was Asher Bell's. Asher had successfully dropped from first to second in the year. When Asher saw the rankings, he raised an eyebrow. "Didn't expect that, did you? From now on, you'll always be second best." He laughed. "You've always been better than me." No joke, before my car accident, I was the top A-level student in our county. I looked down the list for Zach's name. Further and further down. Zach still had dark circles under his eyes. "What are you looking for?" "For you, obviously." He pointed with his long finger. "Look further back. Why are you bothering to search in the top 500? Haha, I laughed dryly. "I've never had a friend with grades as poor as yours." Zach's academic performance was indeed terrible, and his handwriting was awful. After a month of tutoring from Asher and me, he had only managed to climb from beyond 1000th place to somewhere in the 700s. "Logically, a school tough guy like you should have a dramatic turnaround," I muttered. Asher shook his head. "His grades have always been poor. Rising over 300 places is already quite a turnaround for him." Moreover, Zach hadn't taken any money from Asher. He had quit a few low-paying part-time jobs, keeping only his professional game streaming gig. The extra time was used to cram knowledge. Hearing my words, Zach found it amusing. "You don't actually think I could rank in the top 10 like you guys, do you? Come on, I'm of average intelligence. If I try really hard, I might be able to get into a vocational college near your university." So I made a new study plan for Zach. "You should at least aim for a second-tier university in capital. At least. Don't be too far from Asher." Winter break. Zach was too busy with work to pay attention to me. I could only go and bother Asher frequently. The window of his bedroom was often broken by the stones I threw. Asher wrapped his arm around my waist and lifted me down from the windowsill, sighing helplessly. "Next time you can use the front door. But we're in a secret relationship. We can't let your parents find out. They wouldn't mind even if they did." "No way, sneaking around is more exciting." Asher chuckled. His lips were a bit pale though, and beads of sweat dotted his forehead, giving him a pained expression. Outside, the wind picked up and dark clouds gathered. Raindrops began pattering on the ground. "It's starting to rain," I said softly. Asher pressed his lips together, his eyes downcast. His long fingers unconsciously covered the empty part of his trouser leg. It's a good thing I came early. Otherwise I might have gotten caught in the rain and caught a cold. Then I wouldn't be able to see you. I'm so lucky. I jumped up to reach for Asher's neck. He was caught off guard by my sudden movement and couldn't hold me steady. As he leaned back, we both fell onto the bed. He let out a muffled groan of pain. But I felt something pulsing against my waist. My ears turned red and my voice took on a shy tone. Asher, we're still young. Asher had been a bit flustered, but hearing my words he looked confused. Then suddenly realized what I was implying and became embarrassed. That's not he cut himself off abruptly. That's not what? I tilted my head to look at him. Asher lay on the bed with his arm thrown over his eyes. After a long moment, he said, it's my stump. It often twitches when it rains. My eyes widened. Twitches? I quickly got off him. He noticed my movement and his lips paled further, his eyelashes fluttering. I bent down and rolled up the leg of Asher's gray sweatpants. I didn't say anything. It's disgusting, isn't it? You can leave if it bothers you, he paused. Don't use the window though, I'll have someone open the door for you. As the prosthetic limb seemed to wave hello at me, I smiled. What are you smiling at? Asher's fragile self-esteem seemed about to shatter. I just kept asking him to transfer money. Transfer me £10,000 first. Why? A second later, £10,000 appeared in my account. I lay on the bed and opened the concert ticket booking page. I've been wanting a massage gun. Justin Bieber's concert tickets are so hard to get, your stump is perfect for this. I excitedly placed my fingers under the stump. My warm breath blew across it. Asher's face turned red. I didn't notice, focused on trying to get tickets. I got them. I looked up at Asher with a smile. It's my first time getting tickets successfully. Asher's gaze no longer avoided mine. Congratulations. If only his voice hadn't trembled. Was he in pain? I gently poked the stump. Looking up at him, I asked, Asher, does it hurt a lot? A little. But it must really hurt, Asher always downplays things. So I leaned down and kissed his stump. There. A kiss to make it better. But my nose stung and tears spilled from my eyes. It must have hurt so much more when Asher was first injured. I couldn't help kissing his prosthetic a few more times. Suddenly, there was a sharp clatter of a plate dropping behind me. Mom? Asher called out. I turned my head, echoing, Mom? My nose and the corners of my eyes were red from crying. And my lips were wet from my tears, making me look quite pitiful. Plus I was lying on the bed while Asher leaned against the headboard. I hadn't considered how suggestive our position and expressions might look. Tears blurred my vision. When I could see clearly, I recognized Asher's mom. I'd seen her once at the school gates. Mrs. Bell's usually elegant face was cracked with shock. Yeah, she responded to me. Then her eyes darted around, not daring to look at the messy bed. I just came to bring some fruit. She paced back and forth, nearly crushing the scattered grapes underfoot. Asher realized something was wrong and helped me sit up. Trying to cover up, he said, Mom, we were just playing around. Mrs. Bell gave a forced laugh. Ah yes, play nicely. We weren't dash. But Mrs. Bell had already closed the door. The room fell silent. I swallowed hard. Did your mom misunderstand something? Asher laughed softly. His large hand cupped my face, his thumb gently wiping the corner of my eye. His eyes held barely concealed amusement. Why are you crying when everything's fine? Did it hurt a lot at first? After a long silence, he nodded. Yes, it hurt. More than anything ever has. Someone will always love you in the future. You'll be successful and happy your whole life. The female lead will appear later to help him overcome his struggles. He'll become cheerful and confident again. The sky will still be bright, and he'll have a very happy life. Asher frowned. In the future? He looked at me, his large hand covering mine. His body heat seeped into me, seeming to burn straight through to my heart. Doesn't anyone love me now? The system whispered in my ear. Host, your main task is to lead him astray, play with his feelings, and scam him for money. We have someone else lined up to comfort Asher. If you go off script, the system will have to punish you. Is that so? But seeing his puppy dog eyes, wet with unshed tears, I just can't bring myself to do it. So I fought through the sharp pain in my chest and looked him in the eye. Forcing a smile, I wrapped my arms around his neck. The pain was almost unbearable. I kissed Asher's cheek. Gently, I said, of course someone does. I do. I'll always love you. Asher had changed a lot. Compared to his previous gloominess, he seemed much more cheerful. After school started, he and I maintained our positions as first and second in our year. Yet we were doing things like smoking, drinking, and getting trendy haircuts. But I had never smoked. At this moment, I was crouching in the corner. That crimson glow in my hand making me look quite weathered. See? This is how we rebels do it, I said. Zach expressed his strong disdain towards me. Asher leaned against the wall, laughing uncontrollably. Zach strode over with his long legs, matching my posture. He mercilessly mocked. What are you on about? Can you even smoke? You're just pretending. Like you're any better? Weren't you the one coughing and spluttering earlier? As Zach and I bickered, Asher took out a cigarette from the pack. His long index and middle fingers held it as he flicked the lighter with a crisp sound. A red glow lit up at his fingertips, and amidst the swirling smoke, Asher's profile looked exquisite. His jawline was sharp, and a faint smile played on his thin lips. Trisha, is this how it's done? He looked incredibly cool. I stared at him with starry eyes. How did you learn that? Asher used to be such a model student. He stubbed out the cigarette. When I wanted to die before, I was going to smoke while lighting the gas cooker. I quickly went over, took the cigarette from his hand, and tossed it to Zach. He caught it effortlessly. I clung to Asher's arm, pouting, "You really scared me there." Asher smiled, "Don't worry, I don't want to die anymore." Zach, already used to being the third wheel, was nonchalantly sniffing the cigarette. "This stuff is so harsh, how can anyone like it?" Just as he finished speaking, the door was pushed open. Mr. Gray stood there with several school officials and reporters. We were in a rather secluded part of the school building. It wasn't usually visited, and the walls were covered in ivy. I twitched my lips, and as the camera flashes went off, Asher covered my face with his hand. Mr. Gray glared fiercely at Zach. Zach pointed at himself innocently, full of confusion. At Central High School, we pride ourselves on our students' excellent character and academic performance. Even during the 10-minute break, our top 2 students are advising others to abandon bad habits and cultivate good ones. Mr. Gray then let out several dry laughs, knowing full well how unconvincing this excuse was. The reporters behind him kept taking photos. Some school officials looked angry, others were holding back laughter. One of the officials was clearly someone Asher knew. He called out, "Uncle." His uncle cleared his throat, fist at his mouth. "Asher, please release the young lady you're holding hostage." I peeked out curiously from behind Asher. "Uncle?" The uncle spoke, "This area could indeed use some investment and renovation. But for now, let's disperse." But secrets always have a way of getting out. A video of the 3 of us misbehaving was leaked online, causing quite a stir. Many Central High School students commented under the video. "Where there's trouble, there's Zach. They don't catch this, but they catch me washing my hair after lights out. They don't catch this, but they catch me skipping PE. Who would have thought our year's top 2 students are dating? Bloody hell, they catch me for not doing PE. Where's Mr. Gray? They don't catch this, but they catch me for bringing a sandwich to class. Trisha and Asher look good together. Huh, no wonder Trisha's grades improved so quickly. Who knows how she managed that?" Curious, I clicked on this account to check, but it was blank. Probably a jealous classmate of mine. I was secretly holding hands with Asher under the desk. Suddenly, the class rep at the front stood up and walked straight to us. "Dating, -10 points." Neither Asher nor I reacted much. The class rep couldn't hold it in anymore, looking at me with resentment. She turned to Asher with disappointment in her eyes. How did you become like this? Her eyes seemed to be welling up, her tone full of regret for Asher. Asher raised an eyebrow, lifted his trouser leg slightly to reveal a glimpse of his prosthetic limb, and replied casually, "Car accident." The class rep wore thick glasses, was petite with a ponytail. Her uniform buttoned up to the top. She looked quite cute. She stomped her foot in frustration. You know that's not what I meant. I've always seen you as my rival, my goal to chase. But now you've fallen so low as to date, fight, and even smoke. What do you think she sees in you? It's just for your money. Hearing this, I covered my mouth with both hands. You've discovered such a subtle thing? Zach was spinning a basketball on his finger, watching the drama unfold. Asher pursed his lips and turned to look at me. Do you really like me for my money? I nodded. Zach was about to step in to ease the tension. But Asher let out a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness. I've never been poor since birth. He squeezed my wrist, his gaze sincere. Don't worry, my family's money won't run out in this lifetime, the next, or the one after that. So wealthy? Zach stopped in his tracks. He looked up at the sky, trying to hold back tears. I'll have to take out a loan to sue you lot. Asher said gently, my family owns a bank. Zach picked up the basketball from the ground. You talk too much. Time flies by so quickly. It's Friday, during break time. Following the system's instructions, I lead Asher to skip class and head to the rooftop. I deliberately choose the last period of PE. With only 50 days left until the A-levels. My strategy progress has reached 80%. After the exams, the female lead will meet Asher. As for me, my time with Asher is entering its final countdown. Asher stands on the rooftop, the summer breeze fresh and strong, making his school uniform billow. He turns to look at me, his hair tousled by the wind, covering one eye. Like a butterfly about to take flight. One careless moment and he might float away with the wind. I quickly grab his wrist and crouch down against the wall. What's wrong? My legs feel weak from the earlier illusion. And nothing. As if he can see right through me, he asks with a smile. You didn't think I was going to jump, did you? He opens a can of Coke with one hand, unaware that I had shaken it earlier. At that moment, with the sound of countless brown bubbles bursting, some splash onto Asher's fingers. Asher laughs unexpectedly, and in the soft daylight, he seems to return to his former sunny, popular self. I bite my lip. No, I answer. Asher shakes his head, smiling, don't be stubborn, you all. His voice trails off abruptly. Because I lean in close to him, like a little cat, and stick out my tongue to lick the sweet cola syrup from Asher's finger. I smile mischievously, because I want to do bad things with you. Asher's ears turn bright red, his Adam's apple bobbing as he tugs at the corner of his lips. How bad is bad? He puts down the Coke and wipes his fingers with a wet wipe. Then his large hand cups the back of my head, drawing me close. Is this bad enough? Our first kiss. I feel like I'm one of those bubbles from earlier, gradually bursting between the heat and the coolness. The moment Asher kisses the side of my lips, the instant our tongues touch. It's enough to make two teenagers remember for a long time. Until footsteps approach. I let out a small whimper, and only then does Asher let go. His lips are red, but there's a hint of annoyance at being interrupted in the corners of his eyes and brows. I hurriedly cover his lips with my hand, my face flushed. The security guard takes a perfunctory look around, and after making sure no one's there, locks up and leaves. When the space belongs to just the two of us again, I can't help but feel a bit nervous. So I start rambling incoherently. I stand up and start stretching as if no one's watching. This rooftop, it's so rooftop why, you know? 3 circles left, 3 circles right, wiggle that bum. I walk and talk at the same time. Asher can't hold back his laughter. I lick the corner of my lips, but then realizing we just kissed. I feel like I can still sense Asher's touch there. So I quickly pull my tongue back in as if burned. When I reach the door, I realize it's been locked from the inside. Asher. I turn my head to call him, but a large hand cups my face, and a shadow looms over me. "Let's continue being bad," he says. Then he ravages my lips and teeth. Gradually, my hands, which were initially clutching my clothes helplessly, wrap around Asher's neck. After a while, a sudden pain shoots through my heart. The system screams frantically in my mind. "A host, I leave for just a moment and you've already taken the male lead's first kiss. If I had been gone a bit longer, were you planning to take his first time too?" The words are crude but not without reason, but they're still too crude. I'm so startled that I cough a few times. Asher chuckles softly, hugging me and gently patting my back to help me catch my breath. I quickly change the subject. "School's out now, how are we going to get out of here?" Asher clicks his tongue in disappointment. "We'll call Zach, of course." When Zach arrived, I was arguing with the system in my head. "Come on, you told me to lead him astray," I protested. "I told you to get him into fights, smoking, heavy drinking, and to cheat him out of his money and feelings. Did I tell you to kiss him?" the system retorted. I was annoyed too. Being interrupted during a kiss was frustrating enough. At this point, I wasn't entirely in the right, but I stood my ground anyway. "Look, I said I wouldn't misbehave, and you said to go against school rules. You just asked if there was a rule prohibiting early dating. I'm already dating him, so why can't we kiss? Are we supposed to just chat under the duvet? Besides, where were you when we first kissed? You didn't warn me then. You neglected your duty, and you had the nerve to jab at my heart earlier." The system pressed its two index fingers together, pouting dramatically. "I have a girlfriend too, you know. I should report you for abandoning your post during work hours." All right, we'll let it slide this time." I wasn't satisfied. "Next time I'm kissing, you better cover for me." The system raised an eyebrow. "There's going to be a next time?" It sighed. "Host, don't say I didn't warn you. You'll have to leave the male lead eventually. Be careful not to fall too deep." "I won't." The system lit up a cigarette with a world-weary air. "You can fool your mates, but don't fool yourself." When Zach came over, Asher and I were kissing passionately. As we heard the door handle turning, we instinctively separated. Leaning against opposite walls, we looked at Zach with perfectly innocent expressions. Zach was holding 2 ice lollies. He glanced at us both, then smirked sarcastically. "May I ask," he drawled, "were you two snogging or just talking about snogging?" Asher and I didn't answer. We simply walked up and took the ice lollies from Zach. After splitting them, we both gave Zach the end without the stick. Zach forced a smile. "How very kind of you both." 10 days before A-levels. We skipped school to attend a concert. The concert was in a coastal city, and we booked afternoon flights. There was a bit of a hiccup when we tried to sneak out. Mr. Gray came to our class and gave us a heartfelt lecture. "Now is the crucial time for A-level preparation, you mustn't slack off," he said, his gaze lingering on Asher and me. "Especially certain students." Zach was already waiting for us outside the school. By the time we got out, it was dangerously close to our flight's departure. We rushed to the airport in a taxi. Asher sat in his wheelchair, with Zach and I piling all the luggage onto his lap. I even hung my camera around his neck. Then we started sprinting, pushing Asher along. "Aw. We're going to miss it," we cried. Asher nearly threw up from the bumpy ride. "Let me get down and walk myself," he suggested. No. We won't make it." Zach and I insisted, our eyes filled with determination. Asher took a deep breath and spoke up, "For heaven's sake, treat me like a human being. Do you two have any sense of direction? You've been pushing me in circles. Why don't we find someone to do the Swan Lake dance with us while we're at it?" "Oh. Right." Both Zach and I are directionally challenged and short-sighted. Seeing us calm down, Asher straightened his clothes, regaining his usual composed demeanor as the school heartthrob. "Don't worry, I'll get us in through the back door," he said confidently. Zach and I were surprised. "You've got connections here?" Zach almost burst into tears. "Damn rich people, they've got perks everywhere." I was on the verge of tears too, exactly. Used to booking economy class when Asher gave me £30,000. I secretly rejoiced thinking I could pocket the leftover money. Little did I know he meant for us to book business class. Zach and I giggled as we speculated. Do you think a manager will come with a shuttle to take us directly to the boarding gate? It's possible. Can't wait. That was until Asher led us to the disabled access route. This is the back door? Asher was completely unapologetic. Count yourself lucky, Zach. It's good it can accommodate 2 people, otherwise you'd be sprinting on your own. Zach eagerly stepped forward. After you, your lordship. Justin Bieber truly lives up to his reputation as a pop sensation. Dressed in all white, standing under the spotlight as he sings. His voice is like a burst of sparkling lemonade, narrating tales of youth gone by. The 3 of us, holding glow sticks, sway with the crowd. Asher asks me, which university do you want to attend? I pause. Asher and I both have excellent grades. Enough to get into the top universities in the country. But it's impossible for me to stay with Asher after our A-levels. Just 10 more days. Only 10 days. Then I'll have to leave Asher. My smile freezes, tears welling up in my eyes. I struggle to keep my voice steady. Where do you want to go? How about the University of London? We could go together. I say, okay. I'm sorry. Fighting back the bitterness in my heart, I casually ask Zach. What about you? Do you want to study in London too? With Asher's and my help, Zach has managed to rank within the top 400 in our school. He should have no problem getting into a decent university. And if he pushes himself, he might even make it into a top-tier one. Zach presses his tongue against the corner of his mouth, looking at me with an indecipherable emotion, as if he could see right through me. But it's only for a moment before he returns to his usual carefree demeanor. Sure, why not? Let's all go together. I turn my head. Asher's lips curl into a smile, clearly in a good mood. After the concert ended, we headed to the beach. I took off my trainers and walked to the shore wearing only a strappy sundress. Asher bent down, picked up my shoes, and walked behind me. Zach was strolling at a distance. Trisha! Asher! Look this way. I lifted my head towards his direction. The camera captured that moment perfectly. I want a photo together too. I turned and ran towards Asher. The evening breeze caressed his body and under his thin shirt. His abs were faintly visible, like a Greek Adonis. Zach kept pressing the shutter button nonstop. The moment I made eye contact with Asher, my gaze dropped to his lips. I felt a bit tempted. Asher seemed to know what I was thinking. He smiled and leaned in to kiss me. The shutter froze that moment of us completely. Zach was utterly exasperated. Tisk, why don't you two get married after A-levels? I clenched my fist, pretending to hit him. Asher laughed and put his arm around my shoulders. I want to take photos by the rocks. Zach, I'll kill you if they don't turn out well. All right, princess. The rocks were a bit slippery. As I was posing, I lost my footing for a moment and fell into the sea. I heard both of them shouting, Trisha! The seawater caught me off guard, and I swallowed several mouthfuls. The feeling of suffocation was unpleasant. A strong arm wrapped around my waist, and another hooked under my knees, lifting me up. Trisha! Trisha! Zach's anxious voice came through. I had swallowed quite a bit of water and felt completely drained. Zach, I started to say, but broke into a coughing fit before I could finish. I turned my head towards Asher. He seemed to have fallen, kneeling on one knee. He looked in my direction, our eyes met, and he quickly averted his gaze. Zach set me down next to Asher, and I was gasping for air. Asher's eyes fell on me, then after a moment, moved to his leg. He pressed his lips together, lost in thought. Zach was still holding his camera as if it were a treasure. Thank goodness, it didn't break. Hey, aren't you going to check on me first? I protested indignantly. You already owe me your life, be grateful, Zach retorted mercilessly. Then he started photographing Asher and me again. My long hair was plastered wet against my chest, my skin very pale. Asher's eyes were rimmed with red, giving him quite a different allure. Zach clicked his tongue in admiration. If only you were a mermaid, it would make for an even better story. I looked at the photos on the camera, excitedly sharing them with Asher. Though he was smiling, there was a hint of melancholy in his eyes and brow. I knew what he was thinking and instinctively wanted to distract him. Asher, I fancy some ice cream, I said. Sure, what flavor would you like? Strawberry, please. And for you, Zach? Zach was still discussing with me which composition wasn't quite right. He absent-mindedly replied, chocolate. All right, Asher said. Suddenly, we heard the blare of a car horn. Zach darted out like an arrow from beside me. Asher was standing in the middle of the road, the blinding headlights illuminating him. He didn't even blink, eerily calm as if accepting death with serenity. Zach grabbed him, and they tumbled to the ground. The car screeched to a halt a few meters away. The driver was furious. Are you trying to get yourself killed? You're blocking my way. Zach shot back, oi. Speeding at night, are you mental? The sports car drove off, the driver still cursing. I walked past the two of them without a word, heading straight for the ice cream van. With a smile, I said, hello, I'd like 2 ice creams please. 1 strawberry and 1 chocolate. When I handed Zach his ice cream, I didn't even glance at Asher. Asher licked his lips nervously, I'd like a strawberry one too. I smiled coldly, if you want one, why don't you buy it yourself? Zach was angry as well. After hailing a taxi, Zach and I teamed up to give Asher the cold shoulder. Asher sat in the front passenger seat without a word, rubbing his nose and glancing back at Zach and me several times. When we arrived at the booked cottage, Zach and I each chose a room without so much as a look in Asher's direction. 10 minutes later, messages started appearing in the Zach is not a third wheel group chat. It was Asher who sent them. Asher, I'm sorry. I just had a bit of a brain fart earlier. I was just feeling a bit down because I couldn't save Trisha. I didn't really want to die that badly. No one responded. Asher, red envelope. I was quick, but still a second too slow. That bastard Zach had lightning-fast fingers. Kick the cripple's good leg viciously has claimed Asher's red envelope. What a rubbish username. I changed mine too. Hubby's not coming home tonight. Asher, Zach, what kind of username is that? I'll give you 10 minutes before I lose it. Seems like there are people in the group, so I'll continue. I only wanted to die a tiny bit. If I had died, I'd probably have regretted it a bit. I often wonder if my leg hadn't been amputated, would I be feeling so useless today? Can someone comfort me? If not, this is going to be awkward. No one responded. 10 seconds later. Asher, red envelope. Hubby's not coming home tonight has claimed Asher's red envelope. My jaw dropped. Loaded beyond belief. 10,000 quid in one go. Asher, Trisha, what kind of username is that? The next second, there was a knock on my door. I was still fuming. Not listening. Asher, come out for a snog, at hubby's not coming home tonight. Blimey. Us country folk can't resist such temptation. He knew all along I fancied him. Hubby's not coming home tonight, coming. Turtles in the pond, I'll live the longest, heartbroken, true heartbreak isn't about big fights. Bloody hell. What kind of username is that? Sounds quite good actually. Kick the cripple's good leg viciously. You've succumbed to male beauty just like that, I despise you at hubby's come home tonight. Turtles in the pond, I'll live the longest, single dog, please shut up. I opened the door with a cold expression. Kiss me and then leave, I said flatly. Asher hugged me pleadingly, no way, you owe me an explanation. I let out a cold laugh, my hand ruthlessly caressing his abs. Ha, we're just casual snogging partners, nothing more. Asher softened his voice, the end of his words lilting upwards. That's not true. I'm your boyfriend, you said so yourself. I pushed him away abruptly. I also told you not to die, didn't I? Did you listen? Asher guiltily rubbed his nose. I was just feeling a bit down. I shoved him against the wall, pinning him there. Grabbing his collar, I vented, "You don't really love me at all." "But I do love you," Asher said, looking particularly innocent. "Then why did you want to die?" "I felt like I was useless, that's why I tried to end it," he explained. I scoffed, "You've only lost one leg, but if you had died." I stepped closer menacingly. "Then I would have lost my pure, untainted love, reeking of filthy lucre." Asher bit his lip and frowned, "That would indeed be serious." I kicked him lightly. "Besides, what do I need your leg for? Do we need it to kiss? Do we need it to hug? Do we need it for, in the future?" I couldn't bring myself to say those two words. The room fell silent, but our hearts were overflowing with love. Asher and I stared at each other quietly. After a long moment, I threw myself onto the bed, burying my face in the duvet. "What on earth did I just say?" Asher couldn't hold back his laughter. A soft chuckle, like a melody dancing in my ears. "No, we don't need it for that." He lay down next to me on the bed and leaned in to ask, "Are you crying from embarrassment?" I hid the tears in the corners of my eyes, turning my head away from him. "All right, I promise I'll never have thoughts like that again." Only then did I look at him. He leaned down and planted a soft kiss on my lips. "Not angry anymore? A few more kisses and I won't be." Asher laughed. "Okay." For a moment, we could only hear the sound of our amorous kisses and our intertwined heartbeats. Completely ignoring Zach, who was going mad in the group chat. "Kick the cripple's good leg, where are you?" The second day of A-levels had just ended. My system notified me, "Host, your mission is complete. After the exams, the female lead will redeem the male lead Asher Bell. The £50 million reward has been credited to your account. On the condition that you leave Asher." He saw me sitting in silence, focused solely on revising. The system tried to comfort me. This was always going to happen. "I've already given you a lot of leeway. If you don't want to stay in this world, I can send you back to your original one." I burst into tears. The system thought I was feeling nostalgic. "Do you miss your old life? What's there to miss about those miserable days? Growing up in an orphanage, scraping together tuition fees by collecting rubbish during holidays. Being isolated at school, fingers covered in chilblains in winter." I utterly despised that world. I thought university would make things better, but on results day, I was simply crossing the road when a drunk driver hit me. I don't miss my old life one bit. At least this world has Asher. My Asher. Oh, and Zach too. As I was wallowing in my sorrow, Asher texted, "Wait for me at the school gates after the exam. Shall we go on a trip together?" Zach messaged, "How do you solve this maths problem again?" After the maths exam, during the break, I walked alone to the café shop where I'd first got into a fight. The owner smiled at me, "How did the exam go, love?" I forced a smile, "Not bad." "What would you like?" "Just a piece of bread, please. It's on the house today, dear." "Now hurry back to school. Good luck with your exam, hope you do well." I took the free bread. My nose started to tingle. As I took a bite, tears began to fall. A little girl holding a balloon looked at me, puzzled. "Sis, is the bread really that bad?" I sniffled, my eyes red-rimmed. "No, it's not that. It's because it tastes so good." That year, as the French exam began, I impulsively bought a ticket south. Before boarding, I stared at Asher's chat window. I typed and deleted, then typed and deleted again. In the end, I said nothing at all. Goodbye, Asher. This was my farewell. And also my wish. 5 years later. Trisha, there's a new pub opened in the city center. Fancy going? Bella asked me. I looked up, revealing the dark circles under my eyes. Huh? My response was painfully slow. Bella clicked her tongue in frustration. Girl, look at you, completely drained by work. Back then, I had missed my A-level French exam but still managed to score 586 points. So I didn't retake it, instead choosing a Russell Group university in the South. At this moment, I was holding a paintbrush. I'll pass. I need to finish this commission. I have to design a prosthetic limb for a young lady. I had chosen to study media and communications. The £50 million prize money was enough for me to explore other interests during university. Like painting. Once, I saw a girl with a prosthetic limb. I sketched a few lines, and to my surprise, she posted the design on social media, giving me a bit of fame. But I never showed my face. After that, I occasionally took on some commissions. My main job was as a magazine editor, with art as a side gig. I had planned to work through the night. But Bella wouldn't have it. Put down that brush, get dolled up, and let's go meet some fit blokes at the pub. I resignedly watched her pick out clothes for me. There aren't that many handsome guys around. We'll see when we get there. The owner is proper fit. I dozed off as she chatted, and when I woke up, I found Bella had done my full makeup. There was no backing out now. I had just ordered a drink at the bar when the guy next to me started chatting me up. I exchanged a few polite words with him and clinked glasses. Bella had already hit the dance floor with some young lad. I took a sip of my drink. Then a man sat down beside me. A familiar, crisp scent wafted over, making my heart skip a beat. All alone? The voice was deep and magnetic. I turned my head. Asher was wearing a simple blue hoodie and jeans. His American crew cut making his features even sharper. Sunglasses perched casually on his head, a smile playing at his lips. Though it seemed more like he was gritting his teeth. As if to say, "You're in trouble now." I took a deep breath. Sorry, I didn't order a male model. I grabbed my bag and started to leave. Asher didn't move from his spot. I breathed a sigh of relief, but felt a twinge of disappointment. Just as I was about to exit the pub, Asher appeared in front of me. Knowing him as I did, this pub was probably owned by Asher. I forced a laugh. Long time no see. Asher spoke through gritted teeth. Yes, it's been a while. He grabbed my wrist. Just you wait, I'm calling for backup. I couldn't break free. After Asher dialed, Zach's voice rang in my ear again. I've found Trisha. What? Wait for me, I'll be right there. I added thoughtfully, drive safely. Asher had already led me to the street corner, waiting for the traffic light. Where are we going? I asked cautiously, watching his expression. My place. What for? What do you think? A lone man and woman, and such an attractive pair at that. It would be hard for nothing to happen. I think we should just chat, right? Asher put his arm around my waist, grinning mischievously. Trisha, do I need to lock you up and tame you before you'll behave? Oh no. I remembered some of the romance novels I'd shown him had themes of forced love. My mistake. I tried to struggle a bit more. How about tomorrow? Wait a sec, let me go home first. This phrase seemed to trigger something in Asher. He reacted sharply. Home? Who's waiting for you at home? What happened to your promise to love me forever? Asher's voice rose, causing passers-by to stare. I blushed and gave him a light smack on the chest. It was barely a tap. But he used it against me. Help! Someone's assaulting a disabled person. This woman has taken advantage of me, a helpless and fragile disabled hunk. I was shocked. I only told you not to be insecure. How did you become so cocky? Passers-by started chiming in. Young lady, that's not right of you. Yeah, such a handsome lad, you should learn to cherish him. Character is the most important thing. Asher smiled, raising an eyebrow at me challengingly. I gave up. As soon as we entered the lift. Asher couldn't wait to kiss me. It had been 5 years since we'd touched. I wanted him too. When I kissed him back, he calmly pulled away. Once inside the room, Asher lifted me onto the console table in the entryway. His lips teasing mine as his fingers, after wiping them with a wet wipe, slipped under my skirt. He left me in a state of frustration. Asher. Yes, darling? What is it? How had he become so wicked in 5 years? I kissed his lips. I want you. What we hadn't done 5 years ago, we should do now. But Asher seemed intent on punishing me for my heartlessness. He deliberately stopped short of the final step, keeping me on edge. I cried from his torment. Can't you just give me release? Asher smirked, but his words were cruel. No, you need to suffer as I have these past 5 years. I sobbed as I wrapped my arms around his neck. Asher remained unyielding, his eyes, moments ago full of desire, now icy cold. Apologize. What? Apologize for leaving without a word, for my suffering. I bit my lip, regret and longing surging through me like molten lava, threatening to burn me to ashes. My voice was hoarse. I'm sorry. The armor around Asher seemed to crumble. His eyes reddened at the corners, his voice trembling. That's more like it. He bit my shoulder. You should spend the rest of your life atoning to me. Ouch. He gripped the hem of my hoodie with one hand, pulling it off over my head, revealing his toned abs. I kissed his lips again. His warm tears fell onto the tip of my nose, blooming like a tiny raindrop. Asher, in these 5 years, did you ever think about ending it all? No, I promised you I wouldn't. You're such a good boy. I rewarded him with a kiss on his Adam's apple. Everything unfolded naturally. But in that moment, he kissed away my tears. Baby, bear with it for a bit. A kiss will make it all better. The system's notification chimed in my ear once again. Detected, male lead's personality change, loyalty to female supporting character has reached its peak. Female lead has found happiness through her acquaintance with Zach Lloyd, achieving an open ending. Host, from here on, it's up to you to write the rest of the story. I looked at the sleeping Asher. His fingers were gripping my waist, leaving red marks, as if he was afraid I might leave again. I said to the system, don't worry, it will be a happy story.